What's up YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and I'm excited to do this video because I was at my local Publix scratching some lottery tickets like I tend to do a little too often, and a lady walked up with a bag full of coins to dump in the coin machine, and something very, very special happened. And we're going to talk about it and count it all up in this video. So, as I said in the intro, again, a lady came up to the Coinstar. She had a bag full of change, and at the end of the day, I see this a lot when I'm at my Publix or my Kroger, and I think to myself, I should go stop them before they put money in the machine so that I can try to buy it before they put it in, or at least have a look to see if they have anything special. And this particular lady, I wasn't going to say anything, but she set the bag down on the machine, and I heard that distinctive silvery sound. So I quickly ran over before she could start putting stuff in the machine, and I just said, whatever you're going to put in that machine, I'll buy it from you. So we talked for a minute. I explained that I'm a coin collector and that I like buying old change to search through it, and I'd rather her sell it to me than dump it in the machine and have it go back to the bank. So we decided that we would count it all up and we'd make a deal, which we did. I'm not going to get into what I paid for all of it, but what we are going to do on this video is go through everything that's in this bag. And I'm going to see if I can get this out. I tried to do that so it would all end up on the mat. Now, for those of you that are eagle-eye, you can tell there is a lot of silver in here, but there's also quite a bit of clad. So what I'm going to do now is go off camera, and let me zoom in here a little bit so you guys can see some of this up close. I'm going to go off camera and at least sort all the various denominations, and in full disclosure, I've seen at least the numbers of coins we have in here because at the store, we literally took everything out of the bag, stacked everything up to add it up so we knew about how much was in the bag to start with. So I didn't do a silver count at the store. So I just made an offer. She accepted it based on the face value that was there, and she took it. So I'm glad to have this, but let me go through it. We're going to stack it all up and see what we have. All right, well, we've managed to sort all of this stuff out. Let's take a closer look at just sort of the amount of each coin that we have here, and then we'll get into what we've got in silver. And I've got to actually still hunt all this stuff because I do have an old Washington quarter book. I do have a silver dime book that maybe there's some upgrades. We did get a little smattering of 40 and 90% silver halves, including some Benjis. And then there's some Clad stuff in there. Really quickly, I did one war nickel kind of quickly made itself apparent when I spread these out. There could be some other ones hiding in there, so we're going to hunt those as well. But really quickly, these are stacks of 10 for just Clad dimes, so I'll just pick some of these up. These were just copper-edged Clad dimes, and we've got let's see here. These are stacks of 10. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 27. Looks like 2750 worth of Clad dimes. Now, one of the things you're going to notice is almost all of this stuff came up to very even amounts. And the person that had this bag did say that her mother, this is where she was cleaning out of her house, had a bunch of coins laying around, so it wouldn't surprise me if these things were rolled or they were specific amounts in the house that they pulled from and dumped into that bag. So I was a little shocked to see how even some of these came out. So before you mention in the comments, it's just weird. As for our silver dimes, we ended up with 9 stacks of 10 and then 5 extras. So we got 95 silver dimes, all rosies, no mercs, no barbers, nothing like that in there. So we'll be going through those. As for our silver quarters, as you can see down here, we did end up with 1 Standing Liberty dateless quarter. That jumped out pretty quick when I started separating these things out. And I can't see a date on it, but maybe we'll take a closer look and see if maybe we can find something. It's pretty slick, though. We did end up with, again, stacks of 10, 75 of these. So 7 full stacks of 10 and 1 little stack of 5. And then, as I said, these are all, as far as I can tell, Clad nickels. I haven't looked at dates, mint marks, anything. There could be some more war nickels in there, but we did end up with a I think this was the 1945 Philly. I did look at this before I flipped it over. but decent condition. There's that Philly above the Monticello building. We did end up with 25 in Clad quarters. And then over here we had 17 1964s, 3 Benjis, and then a smattering of 40 percenters between 1965 and 1969. So no 70s in there, no silver bicentennials or anything like that. So what we're going to do is actually hunt all of this stuff now. And if I find anything interesting, or if there are book upgrades, and I will separate them by year so we can get a sense for how big of a collection this ended up being that was about to get dumped into a Publix Coinstar. So let me get to it. The Clad stuff, I'll just look for the cool stuff. The rest we'll roll up and put somewhere else, take it back to the bank. I won't go through all those unless we find something interesting. So let's jump into it. So we've been through about a roll or so of the dimes, and I'm bringing you in because in the first 50 or 60 dimes, we found 2 things of interest. One of them we found 3 of, which tells you just how easy it is to find. We're going to start with this one first, though. It's the 1967. We've been looking at these for the double die obverse. And I think we have a minor little, I think we call this a CUD error. That could just be a little post-mint damage there now that I'm looking at it. I think it's a little CUD error, though. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys agree or disagree, but a little bit of extra hunk of metal there is not supposed to be there. Now, that could be a scuff from some post-mint damage, but that's definitely a little leftover metal or a little CUD there. Now, the other one is a bunch of 1970Ds. Now, there is a proof reverse of the 1970, and I think the 70D as well, that the proof reverse has a little more definition in the flames. You could see it there under the regular camera, but here it's a little easier to see. You have the little wells here and here for the flame, and what it's supposed to look like is like that. Just a big solid blob there for a flame. So you'll see here, we don't have those extra definition lines. And I do have the Strike It Rich with Pocket Change book here. I can show you really quickly. So that'll show you, this is what it's supposed to look like. This is what mine looks like. And we've actually got 3 of those. So I showed you one under the scope. There's another one, 1970D. And here is a third one. So I imagine we'll find a bunch of these. We want to look for this one on the 70D. I think also, let me just go back here, on the 70 no mint mark, or the 70 Philadelphia, and on the 69. And the 69 is worth a little bit more, worth about $10 to $20. The 70, it says it's worth $7 plus. So we're definitely going to be looking for that 1969 along the way as well. So we've made it through all of those dimes, or almost really. I've still got to put these under the scope. These I've already discounted, but I'm bringing you in just as a quick update that we found a bunch of these proof reverses on the 70 and the 70D, and we still have that one little die chipper CUD that I showed off earlier. But something I wasn't expecting to find, we've got ourselves a 1970D, and there is a 1970D double die reverse in circulated condition, according to the book, worth $10 to $20. And I've been looking for this through all these coins. And I guess something else I should mention, that probably 70% of these coins were between 1965 and 1970. So I've had tons of the various varieties to look at in that. Normally I do a whole box and maybe find 10 or 15 of these. Not literally rolls and rolls of them. But anyway, enough yapping. Let's get this under the scope so I can show you what I saw here. So the double die reverse, and I think I might have said obverse earlier, presents itself in United States of America, and you can already see right here, we've got some doubling in the A, here in the M, and you know, typically when you've got machine doubling, you've got a very sharp line and just like an edge, whereas you can see we have 2 points to our E here, right? When I come to the R, we'll turn this around, you can see we've got a second serif for an R, so those are telltale markers that you've got a double die and not a machine doubling. Again, here on the I. The C, you can see it a little bit. The A, there's not much. Coming around the coin, there's a little bit in the O, a little bit in the F, and even in United, if I recall. States as well, no, the E in States. You can see right here, we've got a double serif. So we've got all kinds of obvious doubling going on in this coin. And again, when I bring you over to the book, it's the same stuff. If you remember that A, it was on this side, the M was here and here, the double serif and the E, the R, and the I. So I am 99% certain we have found our very first 1970D double die reverse on the channel. I'll look this up on PCGS, see what it's showing for a graded version. This coin does have, you know, it's well worn. It's not going to be like in mint state dime or anything, but I'm curious what it's going for on PCGS. And like I said, I'll look it up and put it on the screen. Once I get through these, if I don't find anything new, I'll come back and give you some quick counts. I did go through the Clad quarters and haven't found, there wasn't anything to be found. And I'm going to go through the Clad nickels, and maybe there's some more nickels and whatnot left in there. We'll do that next. And then we'll get on to the silver and sort that and see if we've got any cool stuff in the silver. Well, that's going to do it for the Clad dimes. And just really quickly to go back through, we had our little die chip, which I don't have a price on. We had 5 of the 1970 proof reverses. You can see the 3 little lines there, and I've double checked these 5. There were a couple when I went back through a second time I tossed because they weren't real strong. So these are going for both the Philly and the Denvers. You know, they're going anywhere from about $3 to maybe $6 or $7. The Phillies are not worth as much as the Denvers. They don't sell in huge quantities on eBay, but there have been some recent sales in May and June. As for the Denver, again, I'll just show you this one. And you can see those 3 lines really well under this magnification. Figure again, $3 to $6. And I think we had 13 of these. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12. And I'll just grab one out of the middle to show you. They all have the 3 flame lines in there. So if they are going for, if I could get $6 a piece for them at 13 bucks, that's quite a haul. That's going to be another $70 or $80 worth there. The DDR on this, I only found one sale, and at least for just like a circulated one, and it was I think $7.95. And then I found one little grease strike. You can kind of tell just under the camera here. It's really weakly struck. It could just be I don't know, like a worn die, but to me this looks like a struck through grease because it's just not a lot of detail on it. So just something else interesting that I'm going to pull and keep aside. Not sure the value on that either, if any, above the dime, but pretty good finds, honestly, in my opinion, for a bunch of Clad dimes. Now we're going to go through and sort these rosies and see what we have. Well, really quickly, there's the distribution of 40s, 50s, and 60s, and obviously we're going to have tons of like 63s and 64s. I'm going to go ahead and separate them by year now, but I did see quite a number of 57s, and these I think were mainly like 46, 47, 48, but didn't look at mint marks yet, so let's jump to the rest of this separation. All right, well, we've sorted them out by year. I know it's a little messy. I'll try to take you through it really quick, but we had 3 of the 46 Phillies, 1 46 Denver, so you'll see I got Philly and Denver like this. So there's your 46 and 47. We had a single 47 Philly, single 48 Philly, no 49. We come down to the 50s. They go across this way again, Philly and Denver. So our 50 was a Denver. 51, we got a couple 3 Phillies and a Denver. The 52s, we had 4 Denvers. 53s, 2 Denvers. There's our 54s. There's our 56s. We didn't have any 55s. And then we had a handful of 57s. I think we had like 4 and 3. Yep, 4 there and 3 there. No 58s. And 2 59 Denvers. And then same thing down here for our 60s. So they go this way. So our Philly and Denver's here. And I know this is a little bit messy. But again, we had 2 60 Denvers. We had 3... What is that? 51 Denvers. And then when we get into the 52s, I think we had 3 and 4. 53s, it was like 1 and 5 or 1 and 7, something like that. And then our 64s, we had, I think, 9 Phillies and something like 10, 20. I think we had 29 Denvers. So lots and lots of Roosevelt dimes. If you had an album, you'd have been able to fill almost all of it. Of course, we had no San Franciscos in this. But your Philly and Denver, you'd have been most of the way there with just what I found in this bag from Publix. So I'm going to go through these, see if we find any DDOs or DDRs. A lot of these early 40 ones, 40s ones, there's DDOs or DDRs on just about every one of them. So I haven't found many, so I'm going to have to re-educate myself. And if I find anything, I'll bring you in. If we don't, we're going to go ahead and move on to the nickels before we get to the quarters and the half dollars. All right, well, we've made it through the dimes. There's our 40s, 50s, and 60s all stacked up nicely. I am going to bring in for one dime that I came across. The 1953 Denver, not in the greatest of shape, but there is a repunched mint mark on this guy, and I haven't been able to find anything quite like this. But I didn't want to show it to you under the scope because it looks really, really suspicious. And it looks kind of really suspicious under a loop as well. Now, there is no D over S. There is a D over D. None of the pictures that I have found on PCGS or Variety Vista match this, but what's weird about it is, like, I could write this off as a little post-mint damage, no problem. But I've got this very weird curled additional metal there in the sort of heart of the D. What I don't know is, maybe is this a D that was kind of sideways? Is this an S that was under there? Now, there's no D over S that I've been able to find anywhere. But this just looks really strange to me, so I'm going to keep this aside and keep doing some research. If I find out more about it before the end of the video, I will be sure to let you know. And if there's nothing else in the video and you know what this is, let me know in the comments down below. After that, though, we're going to go ahead and get into these nickels and hopefully find some more war nickels in there. There's definitely no V nickels or buffaloes, but I'm going to hope we find some 39s through 59s and possibly these really nice 42 through 45s that are 35% silver. So we're getting through the first of those two rolls, and there's a couple of things here towards the end that I'm going to go ahead and pull out. And I knew they were there because I saw them when we sorted them at Publix. Not so much the 54, which I've already taken a look at, the 54 Denver. This is one we'll hang on to. I already checked for a repunch mint mark, and it's not there. But it's the fact that we also had ourselves a 1975 Canadian. And a little bit further up here, where did it go? Thought I saw one other one. Well, I thought it was in here, but I know there's a Bahamian in there as well. I think it's a Bahamian. So we've got one more foreign somewhere lurking in there, and I'll bring you in when we find it. Well, we made it through the second roll of nickels, and we didn't find much. We did come across that Bahamian 5-cent piece that I was telling you about earlier. Looks like it's a 1998. We did come across two keepers, a 1957 Denver and a 1952. I think this was a Denver too. I can't really recall now. No, it was a Philly, 52 Philly. So we got 4 50s keepers. A couple of foreigns, we'll hang on to those. Rest of those nickels we'll go ahead and roll up. And I'm going to go ahead and move on to these quarters. And like the dimes, we're going to separate them by year and mint mark. And then I'll go through them and hunt them for any kind of variety that there might be. And I'll bring you in as I find them. Well, really quickly to just show you the breakup here, this was our 40s, this was our 50s, and of course the bigger stack will be our 60s. And we do have the one standing Liberty, and I can't get a date off that. It's just too worn, so we're going to go ahead and just throw that up here. But from here, we're going to go ahead and sort these out by year and mint mark, and then start seeing if there's anything interesting to hunt for, whether it be DDO, DDR, or some other weird mint error like, repunch mint marks or reverse proofs or things like that. Well, there they all are by year, and I know it's a little bit messy, but we'll try to make sense of it up here. So we got 41 Philly, got a couple of 43 Philly in Denver, and 143 Denver. We got, I think, 3 or 4, looks like 4 44 Phillies. Now the 45, we've got 3 Phillies and 2 actual San Francisco mint marks. I wish we had a Denver, but both of them are San Francisco, so no Denver there. And that is the end of the 40s. When we get into the 50s, we had a couple of 50 Philadelphias, so the tops and the bottoms are Philly and Denver as usual here, but 51, 52, couple of Denvers, no 53s, couple of 54 Phillies, nothing in the 55s. We got some 56 Denver, 57 Philly, couple of 57 Denvers, couple of 58 Denvers, and a 59 Denver. And of course, as you would expect, everything down here is between 60 and 64 since it's silver. And the vast majority, the winner, is actually all of these 64Ds. I think in total there were, don't quote me on it, I think there were like 19 of them, something like that. I'll have to add them back up again. And we had 9 of the Phillies. But down here, the only thing we were missing was a 1960 Philly. We got a Denver. So you can kind of see the breakup of the 61, 62, 63. Again, Philly on top, Denver underneath. So a pretty good setup. Unfortunately, I've checked my early Washington quarter books, and I already have all of these quarters. So a lot of the key date ones and semi-key date ones from the time frame or the lower mintage ones, they're just not in here. I didn't expect them to be, but it would have been nice. So now I'm going to go through each year and each mint mark and see if we've got any errors or varieties, and I'll bring you in as we find them. So we're getting through the quarters. We're actually going through the last little run here of the 1964 Denvers, and I think I've come across something really kind of interesting. And there's not a lot of information about it, at least for sales figures on PCGS Price Guide. I was able to find this quarter there and can verify it through a couple of markers as well as on Variety Vista. And for those of you well versed in the errors, this is what I believe to be the FS503. So the D, I believe, does have a double die obverse on it, which is the first thing we were looking for. And usually in all these quarters, when you're looking at that DDO or looking for it, you're looking in Liberty, you're looking in God We Trust, and we're looking down here in the date. But as I was up here looking at the Liberty, and you can kind of see it, I'll back out a little bit. We have a gigantic die crack going through the top of Washington's head. We also have one that extends through the base of the bust here, and it comes all the way out here by the letter I. So that immediately told me, we probably have some markers that we should be looking for. So then we went to inspect the back because I believe there's also a DDR on this thing, as well as a repunched mint mark. And when we got down here to look at the mint mark, now I struggle with repunched mint marks for a couple of reasons. One, a lot of them do look a little bit smeared, and it's tough to see an actual second D. Like, you might see it. I'll see if I can find another one here real quick to illustrate. This is just another 64D. We're going to push this up here for the date. So a lot of them you might see almost like a machine doubling smear mark on the stem or up here on the top, but you can't actually make out another whole D. Whereas with this quarter, it almost looks like a triple D. There it is. We have that sort of smear that I'm used to seeing, but you can see we've got a raised second D, and you can even see the inside of the belly inside of the outer D here. So that sort of clued me in to start looking for this on PCGS. I think this is legitimately a repunched mint mark. And when we go onto PCGS, and I'll go ahead and throw some images up on the screen here from the computer, but one of the key markers on Variety Vista, which I couldn't find on this quarter, because I don't think it's on all of them, is there's some die cracks. And actually, now that I'm zoomed out a little bit, you can see it. A die crack running down the edge of the wing. So there it is right there. Actually, that is a marker we have. And the other one is that giant die crack that I talked about on the head of Washington here. So I am 99 I'll give it 8% certain this is the FS503. No sales on eBay. PCGS only shows having graded 3 or 4 of these in their population with no sales figures on it. So this could be a pretty interesting find. Let me know your thoughts on the quarter in the comments down below. So just 6 quarters left, and I found another one that's interesting. I haven't been able to identify what this is outside of just a really big die crack. I don't see a DDO or a DDR or a repunched mint mark on this guy, but we've got a really interesting die crack similar to the one I just showed you that's on the bottom bust of Washington. It starts way back here in the ribbon, and on the last one it kind of came through to about here, I guess. This one extends well into the fields of the coin and even comes down past the 1. So I'm going to keep an eye out for what this might be. I'm not quite sure. I'll be very honest with you. If you happen to know what it is, let me know in the comments down below. I don't think this is going to be like a, an FS whatever. It's, I don't know, some sort of die scratch, die crack, something. Let me know. I'll keep it aside for now. So that's going to do it for the quarters. Now, I did pull 3 coins aside. 2 I showed you. This was the the repunch mint mark. This was the weird die crack along the bottom. This first one was one I just didn't show you because it was probably the nicest quarter in the bunch. It was a 1964 Denver, and it just had a pristine mint mark on the back. You can see we've got some die scratches down there. But I didn't see any other kind of oddity with it. It's not a reverse type B. It's not a, I don't know. There's nothing special about it other than it's just a beautiful quarter and probably the nicest one we got. So with that, we're going to wrap this up pretty quick by moving over to the $50, and we don't have many of them to talk about. All right, so rather than break them up and go through two little portions here, I went ahead and laid these out and kind of pre-searched them, and we're just going to talk about what's interesting. As for the 90%, we did end up with 17 1964s, a good smattering of Philly and Denvers, and we were able to check all of them for repunch mint marks on the Denvers, as well as DDOs on pretty much all of them, and we did find one interesting 1964 Denver that we're going to put under the scope in a minute, but let me finish with the rest of these. We did get three 1965s, three 1967s, a 1968 Denver, and a 1969 Denver, and those were, I think, only made in Denver. So we also did manage to get three Ben Franklin $50 in that bag, so we did get a 62. I can't remember if there was a mint mark. Yes, there was. It was a Denver. And the 63s, we got a Philly and a Denver. And this guy is actually in really, really good shape. I did check them all for the Bugs Bunny, and there's some, I forget what they're called now. I want to say strike through, but that's wrong. But it's basically where you can see the impression on the front, on the back. The word has left me. I can't remember what it is all of a sudden. Anyway, the one I really want to spend just a minute on here is this 1964 Denver, and we've got a great example of the FS 101 double die obverse on this 1964, and we're also going to do another little experiment. We're going to drop this in some Easy Est for you off camera and show you what it looks like after about 10 or 15 seconds in that solution, which doesn't damage the coin, actually. It just kind of helps clean up the grime and this kind of stuff on it. So anyway, let's have a look at this double die obverse. So I'm zoomed way in. We'll zoom out. It'll make some of it actually a little bit easier to see, but you can see double serifs on the T here, here, and here. Obviously, you've got some doubling in the S, a wide belly, two serifs there. Under the loop, this thing looks amazing. On the microscope, especially this far zoomed in, you lose a little bit of the detail, but again, you've got double serifs here, and you can clearly see we've got a U on top of a U. On the R, you can make out a little bit of the double leg there, and on this last T, we've got a little bit of a split serif down here on the bottom, and even up here in the top. Now, there's 5 or 6 DDOs recognized by PCGS, and I think this is the 101 because the double serifs, the doubling actually extends over here into the we, so we've got it in all of the serifs on the W and the E, and we've got it up here on the T. I'm sorry, the T and the Y, so the T is a little easier to see. We've got the double serif here. The Y, it's very, very minor up here, and it's a little bit wide in the base. So all in all, this is an FS 101, in my opinion. Actually in decent shape from a details perspective. It's a little worse for wear, but we're going to go drop this in some Easy Est for, like I said, about 10 seconds, and we'll see what it looks like when I'm done. And just like that, it's been under some Easy Est for, like I said, about 10 seconds. You can see we didn't get all of that little grime off of there, that little dot of dirt. But I also did my best to not scrub at this at all. It just went in the solution. We ran some water over it to neutralize that solution and just let it dry on a cloth. But that looks 10 times better than it did with literally no effort and no damage. Well, guys, the silver chest looked really sad this year until now. To do a quick wrap up of all of this, and sorry if this video ended up being long, we just had so much to look through and we found quite a lot more than I thought we would. We've got all of our finds, sort of the Clad finds are right here. Everything else that's silver is over here. Some of the other Clad is either wrapped up or waiting to be put in rolls. But we ended up with 76 quarters. I think I may have given you these numbers earlier in the hunt. If not, these numbers may be different because as I went through them, I did find a few Clad things that I had to pull out. But we ended up with 76 quarters. 75 of them, of course, were our Washington quarters, and we had the one Standing Liberty. We had one silver war nickel. We ended up with 90% Roosevelt dimes for $9.30 worth of those. 3 Benjamin Franklins. We had 17 Kennedys that were 90%, and we had 8 40%ers. And when I throw that into coin apps today, I'll put it up on the screen. At least at the time of me filming, spot was $36.28 for a grand total of $1,050.14 in silver value sitting here on the table. So I got really, really lucky coming across these coins, and I just happened to intercept them before they made it back into the banking system. So I got extremely lucky. It would take me the rest of the year, if not into next year, to find this coin roll hunting in boxes the way things are going lately. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments down below. If you are new to the channel, make sure you click on that subscribe button, then click on that little bell and select all so you get notified each and every time I release a new video. I'd really appreciate it. I would like to give a special shout out to all my channel members. Thank you guys for supporting the channel each and every month, and stay tuned to my community page for my members. I'm going to do a little giveaway for some of the silver we have here. It'll be a couple of weeks. As I said, I'm traveling, so this will probably come out in the middle of those travels, and we'll do some sort of little giveaway for you guys when I get back. So anyway, hopefully you guys are doing well. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one.